On this episode of the Dubcast, part of the Roundball Australia podcast network, Canberra fly out to the top of the table with 3 wins on the trot, while things get worse for the Wellington Phoenix in the distance derby. If I had $1 for every time a Bev Priestman coach side has conceded an Olympico in Perth, I'd have $2, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice in the last 2 visits to Western Australia for Bev Priestman. Elsewhere, Newcastle get a win over Brisbane. The Mariners shock the Western Sydney Wanderers at home, spoiling the homecoming for Chloe Berryhill, while Melbourne Victory claim bragging rights over Adelaide United. All that and more on this episode of the Dubcast. My name is Poletti. Joining me, as always, is Burke. We just keep saying it every week. The Dub just keeps throwing up weird and crazy things like Brisbane, bad. Wellington, bad. Perth, good? Question mark?
Yeah, look, I was trying to explain that I do like journalism stuff, podcast stuff about this league to new people that I'd met over the weekend, and I was like, you just cannot gamble on this league, and they really didn't understand what I was saying, and I was like, no, you can't bet on this.
Yeah, no, you absolutely, you can't predict this league. You can't bet on it. It's so crazy on a week-to-week basis, and I think the fact that like Canberra lost, Melbourne City lost to Canberra, like, and to be fair, like I will give Teo Palazzari credit. He did flag it last week on Dub Zone that like the undefeated streak for City could be in jeopardy, and it was.
This is the second time that Canberra have ended Melbourne City's winning streaks. Like they did it the last time as well at home in Canberra. So don't know what
Melbourne City just
the
don't like
vibe
traveling
is
to
there,
Canberra,
or maybe Canberra really don't like it when Melbourne City come. One of those. It's one of
I
those.
mean, given that Sydney also don't like traveling to Canberra, like historically,
Maybe
that
it's
just don't
Canberra.
perform well in Canberra, maybe it's just traveling to Canberra is not what teams enjoy.
Well, we'll have to put more research into this. I'm reaching for the tinfoil hat as we speak.
But as always, we start with our big storyline each week, and Burke, kick us off, please.
Come on. Do I even need to say it? Does anyone need to say it? If you're not considering the Canberra story as the biggest of the league so far, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yep, that's fair. So Canberra 2, Melbourne City 1. Emma Hawkins and Michelle Heyman in the 52nd and 59th minutes. Holly McNamara scoring from the spot for Melbourne City's lone goal in the 71st minute. This comes just a few days after Canberra 2, Sydney 0. With Michelle Heyman also being on the score sheet in that game. Sienna Dale getting her first goal in the A-League women competition. So a very busy week for Canberra, particularly given their game on Friday night last week against Melbourne Victory. So they've taken it to 3 of the pre-season competition heavyweights in the last 8 days for when those games took place, and they walked away with a maximum amount of points from them. Canberra, good? Question mark. Canberra, great? Question mark.
Canberra, excellent. Full stop. Come on. Just hearing you reel off all those results just made me think of like Legally Blonde, Elle Woods, but it's Canberra United going like, what? Beating the top 3 teams? What? Like it's hard? Like it's hard? It's not, clearly, because they did it all in like 8 days. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I was fully expecting them to have really run out of steam by the time they got to playing City, but that joke's on me. Joke is on me. They were ready and prepared for everything and everyone, and I hope it continues. I really do. The Sienna Dale goal particularly was lovely stuff. That also being her first is great. But yeah, this is just the really fun part of the dub and being that it is so deeply unpredictable. Best league in the world, but Canberra United should be like, I know they're top of the table, but they should be like in incredibly high spirits, and I hope they are, and I hope they use this momentum well, because yeah, who knows when it's kind of going to happen again. I mean, unless everyone just keeps coming to Canberra and just getting absolutely rocked by Canberra.
Yeah, I think that idea is interesting. Like, we sort of, Sydney haven't traditionally liked traveling to Canberra. It was Canberra who broke Melbourne City's undefeated streak the last time that Melbourne City had an undefeated streak broken. I don't know. Is it just something about traveling to Canberra that teams don't enjoy? Or is there just something with the way that Yagarinich has got his side coached this season that maybe the core of the squad has had a season together now, because it was very much last year a sort of land of the misfit toys, where because of how late Canberra's participation in the dub was confirmed, that it was kind of like everyone else kind of already signed their contracts elsewhere, who's left available, and that's kind of what I mean. It's not to discredit all of the players there, because there was a lot of talented players there, who were part of the squad last year that have continued to be part of the squad this year. I don't know how to explain the turnaround this year. Like, yes, they made finals last year, but they certainly weren't rattling off wins like this last year.
I think, forgive me, I have the tinfoil hat on. You didn't see, I really, really quickly put it on. Um, they put a curse on the away team's dressing room. So as soon as you enter that dressing room, it's over. It's over. You're not gonna win. No, yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. I guess they've just been showing up to these games, maybe being like, we're sick of it. We're not gonna lose anymore, actually. We're over it. Um, I hope that's what they've done, because that's really funny. But yeah, I'd love to actually speak to all the players right now and ask them, like, what exactly have you done in this last, like, is it just these last 7 days that everything's like clicked? Or, like, what's going on? If you've got like some weird rituals, do not stop doing them. Continue doing them forever. Yeah, yeah. I mean, there is also just the fact that they are very good. Like, we can sit here and be like, is it the coach? Is it the curse they put on the away team's dressing room? Is it this? Is it that? Maybe they're just good, and maybe the other teams just weren't good on those days. To be fair, City were not good. They were very lethargic, I thought, from what I saw, um, of the game, and I do feel like I understand it's City Ball and they are going to play it, but maybe they should try something new. I don't know if they
I
can because it's so deeply baked in, but
Yeah, that's kind of
like
what I was thinking. Is
it's the whole thing. Like, that is the whole thing.
it's the City Football Group. It's how they play.
But once you
Like,
found
it's
out, like, mm, I'm not saying they are
like
found out. I'm saying like they definitely didn't have a good game against Canberra, but yeah, once you caught, you got to do something different, right? You got to run in zigzags or whatever it is. These guys are running in a
I
straight
mean,
line.
you end up in a situation like last week, and yes, they walked away with a victory against Wellington, but like, Wellington were happy to sit back and hit on the counter and sort of take their chances forward. And if they were a little bit more accurate with the shooting, they'd probably walk away with the 3 points. And it's certainly not the first time we've seen it with the way Melbourne City play football. Is there are weaknesses there to exploit if the teams they're coming up against are good enough to do it. I think the problem over the last few years has just been that the teams just in the A Leagues just haven't been good enough to hold Melbourne City out for 90 minutes. Like, if you look at one of the lone losses that Melbourne Victory had last season, it was to Melbourne City, and it was a case of they took the lead early, Melbourne Victory, but they just weren't able to hold Melbourne City out for 90 minutes. And I think that's a problem with not necessarily City, but some of the other teams. Is just, how do you shut down this juggernaut for 90 minutes? And, Canberra kind of found a way to do that. But even then, Melbourne City still got a goal out of this. Yes, it was from the spot, but, they still weren't able to be held out for 90 minutes. And so whoever the first side is to figure out how to hold Melbourne City out for 90 minutes is going to provide the blueprint to the rest of the league as to, right, this is how you beat Melbourne City. Are you good enough to actually pull it off?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And I think Canberra's the closest so far to having done it. But once it's been worked out, they are like everyone. Those instructions are getting photocopied and faxed. Like, we're not running the risk of sending stuff via the internet. We are faxing these instructions to you.
It's just going to be no. It's not even going to be faxed. It's going to be hand drawn on a note and sent via carrier pigeon, like we're in 1862.
Yeah, you're right. There's absolutely no risk of it getting intercepted or anything like that. Yeah.
Yep. My big storyline for this week, we're going to stay with the Melbourne teams. Melbourne Victory versus Adelaide United, 1-0 victory for the Melbourne Victory. Rachel Lowe with the goal in the 50th minute. But my storyline from this game is what is going on in Adelaide United, because look, so obviously they've had their game against Melbourne City postponed because a significant portion of the squad has come down with influenza A. So, I mean, presumably, given the short turnaround, I don't know if the side stayed in Melbourne or not, but given they played Victory on Saturday, was supposed to play City on Wednesday, so I'm not quite sure how that was working out there, but that game has been postponed because a lot of the Adelaide United squad has influenza A. But looking at the on-field for Adelaide United, something's not clicking this year. This is a side that had arguably its best ever season last year, made finals, and just hasn't continued with it this year. Like, they're sitting in 10th, 1 win, 1 draw, 3 losses. Their lone draw was a 0-0 with Sydney FC. 4 points, tied at the bottom with the Western Sydney Wanderers, but ahead on goal difference are Adelaide United. And look, the players are good. We know this because it's a lot of the same squad they had last year. A couple of absences, yes, but it's mostly the same squad they had last year. I just like it is. Is it as simple as Adrian Centre out, Theo Siunius in, and we talked in our season preview the concerns that we had around Theo Siunius coming in. The departure of Adrian Stenter to be the assistant coach for the men's team at Adelaide United. Is it just quite simply that, or could there be something else at play here? Because if it's simply the coach, then that is entirely on the club for choosing to move the coach onto their men's team to fill a vacancy there, rather than keeping him with the women's team and making Siunius an assistant to the men's side, which may have been different. I don't know how those conversations went behind the scenes in terms of the way everything's played out, but like is it as simple as put the blame on the coach?
I don't think I want to put the blame so much on the coach as I want to put the blame on the club itself, because they're the ones that chose to promote Stenter and move in with a new coach for the women's team when they clearly had something really, really good going for the women's side. And yeah, I mean, this is just, it's a situation that you absolutely would never see in the men's game. Like, you're never seeing, Like the women's team coach is moving on. Let's get the men's coach in to do it. Like that's never. I don't believe it's ever happened. I don't believe it will ever happen. And I think it's a real disservice to the women's side because they had an incredible season last year. And there's no reason why they shouldn't have been able to back it up this season had they had the same coaching staff. So, yeah, there's definitely like more to be said about the whole coaching situation and coaching men's team versus women's team. But you know what? I don't want to do it. I don't want to have that conversation right now because it sucks. Um, yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, I mean it's a new coaching staff as we touched on. Sione is coming in, Mariska Wilde is coming in as his assistant. Look, I don't like. I don't know. I asked the question. I don't know if it's just simply is it just the changing coaches, or is there something perhaps not quite working out with the player group? I don't know what the issue is, but there's clearly an issue there because this is not the same Adelaide United side we saw last year. And to be fair, there's a lot of sides we have, in the competition at the moment that aren't the sides we saw last year. And I understand there's player turnover and stuff like that. It just seems to have been a shift in the off season with the way some teams are going, about their business. I definitely think the potential is there for Adelaide United to turn things around, but the problem is that we're, depending on which teams you are, we're a third of the way through the season, a quarter of the way through the season for other teams. Like that's a significant portion of the season already gone. Like Adelaide, 5 games played, has already touched on 1-1-3 record. That's a quarter of their season already done. And to only have 4 points from it and, sitting at the bottom of the table, that's not good.
No, not at all. Not at all.
On the Melbourne Victory side of things, a 1-0 win takes them to 4 wins, 3 losses on the season, still no draws. Is this like they're a third of the way through their season? Is this just what Victory are going to be this year? Some weeks good, some weeks not so good, or are we starting to see a pattern emerge here?
Yeah, it's not looking good for them. Like obviously they are still it's not looking good for them in respect to every other season pretty much that they've had in recent memory, right? Consistency. We would love to see her. We really would. I think they would too. But yeah, it's odd. It's kind of like it's just that some days they're fully firing on all cylinders and the other days they just can't seem to start the car. Like, I don't know if we're going to go with this car analogy, if they need to like change a battery or if they need to check their brakes or something. Like something's gotta give here. I wouldn't recommend giving out on the brakes though. You kind of need those.
I mean, look, maybe it's just as simple as they just need to switch to a premium fuel. Like maybe that's all it is. They just need to tweak something ever so slightly to get things moving in the right direction. Because like we can see it in their wins, the talent is there, but then you get situations like last week to Canberra where they weren't at the races at all.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's like some weeks they're on and then the other weeks they're off, and it's like you should probably actually try and find a middle ground here, guys.
There's a Gennaro Gattuso quote that comes to mind. Look, I think if you're Jeff Hopkins, you take the 3 points, you go back to training, you try to work things out here. But yeah, I'm not convinced that come the back end of the season that we're not looking at like a mid-table Victory side that's sort of coming into the finals in 4th and like like if anyone can do it, it's Jeff Hopkins. But you are what your record says you are at some point in the season. And I think we're at the point of the season where you are what your record says you are, and right now you're a team that is sometimes good and sometimes not so good.
Yeah.
We'll move on now to Perth 1, Wellington 0, Friday night distance derby. Look, if I was a Wellington fan and I stayed up to watch that game, I'd be demanding some kind of compensation from the club, because it was a decent performance from Wellington. They just couldn't finish anything. And
this is
I was having a conversation with someone about this, who said they need a number 9, but like they've got Samba, who just, and I know she's been struggling with injury. Like, maybe it's just a slight tactical approach they need to try to get the best out of her when she's not quite at her best.
Yeah, because this is the second week in a row that this has happened to Wellington, where they've absolutely dominated the stat sheet and just haven't won, because it's what happened against City last week. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. This was I understand every game goes for roughly 90 minutes, give or take. This was a very, very, very long 90 minutes. Like, it really, really was.
I mean, a 10 p.m. East Coast kickoff time will do that to you.
Unbelievable.
Unfortunately, I mean, maybe my expectations are just too high, but like I feel like, and this is not just the A-League women's competition. This has been the A-League men as well this season. I feel like the Perth Glory chaos slot just isn't delivering the chaos it needs this season. Like it's just they're just playing out like normal games of football. Whereas like in the past, it's the chaos game has delivered that 10 p.m. East Coast kickoff, dub after dark, even though it's sun's up local time in Perth. Like I just feel like it hasn't delivered the way it has in past seasons.
Yeah, I would say I'd agree. I mean, the goal was spectacular. It did mostly make up for it, but still it was a very long 90 minutes. Yeah, the app or whatever saying the goal was scored by Sarah O'Donoghue and not Susan Fonsongam as an
No, I'm
Olympico.
giving that to Susan Fong-Tom-Kim. As an Olympico, you're not taking an Olympico away from me. You're not taking an Olympico away from you, not from us, not from Marissa Lordanic.
Absolutely not.
We do not take Olympicos away.
Yeah.
And goodness knows if anyone needs an Olympico right now, it is Marissa Lordanic. Not to get too hockey coded, but
Yeah, she
Vancouver are
needed
going
this.
through some stuff.
She
She needs as many Olympicos as we can give her.
Yeah, it was a stunning goal. I mean, my stocks in Susan Fonsongam, as you would know if you are a regular listener, are pretty high, and they just paid dividends, guys. I'm actually not sure if that's the analogy. I don't know how taxes or money work. I'm assuming that's the correct analogy. If I'm wrong, don't correct me. I don't care. The economy isn't real to me. Yeah, banger, banger, so good. And Perth really, really needed this. It's the first goal they've scored in 3 games and their first win in 4 games. Off, yeah,
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 so they opened the season with a win against the Western Sydney Wanderers, lost their next 4, had the bye last week, and now they've got on to, they've broken that losing streak with the win. So it's so it's
They
2
needed
wins,
this.
4 losses on the season from them. Looking at Perth as a whole, they're still 1 win outside the top 6 on 6 points. Brisbane with 9 points, sort of rounding out the 6 at the moment. This was something we flagged earlier this season, was the fact that like their 4 losses, one of them's coming home, but 3 of them have come on the road, and it was 3 successive away trips to the East Coast. They've got a home game against Adelaide coming up this week. Like, is this just the little mini reset with the bye that they need to turn their season around?
I hope so. And I think so. Because I think it's good when Perth are good. I think they haven't been consistently good in quite some time, and I would like for them to do that again because it's fun when they're good. Yeah.
Yep. Just before we move on from this game, is Sambo going to be the sole reason that A-League women crowds are up this season?
I hope so. That crowd was awesome every time. Like she wasn't even touching the ball. She came near to it and they'd go off. I love it. I love it. Cult figures in football, especially in women's football, absolutely rock. Absolutely rock. I love it.
Yep. Sorry, I know I said that was the last thing before we move on, but I did tease this in the intro off the top. Bev Priestman, her last two trips to Perth as a coach have seen her sides concede an Olympico. Obviously, Canada conceding to Ireland at the World Cup. Canada went on to win that game. Perth held on to win this game over Wellington. Can we pencil in a draw and an Olympico if Bev Priestman stays coach for next season when Wellington travel? Because that would just be hilarious. One win, one draw, one loss. Olympico conceded all three times.
I think that would be really funny. But don't bet on that.
No, do not. Do not indeed. We'll move now to a round 5 reschedule match. Newcastle versus Brisbane on Saturday afternoon. Newcastle 3, Brisbane 0. Melina Ayres in the 32nd minute, followed by Kelly Brown from the spot in first half stoppage time, and then India Brea in the 71st minute. I don't know if this is Newcastle with a point to prove after the Derby thrashing they copped last week, or if Brisbane are really impacted by the fact that Tamiki Yallop wasn't in the lineup.
Let's meet in the middle and say it's both at the same time, which is unfortunate for Brisbane. But yeah, they weren't really there, were they? They definitely weren't on the score sheet, that's for sure. And Newcastle were on one. And they've kind of shown like shades of being good so far this season. They have picked up a couple of other wins. But yeah, Newcastle, good in brackets tentatively.
Yep. I think
I'm
that's
not
fair because I think
completely
we were.
sold.
Yeah, no, because we were definitely questioning last week after the Derby loss what was going on,
Yeah.
and then they come out and do this. So I don't quite know what to make of the
Yeah.
Jets at this point. They do move into third on the ladder though, 10 points, 3 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss. So something is working in the Hunter. I don't know. I just worry that there might be some more of the Mariners games in them than there are games like this as the season
Yeah, that
continues.
that sounds about right to me.
On the Brisbane Roar side of things, so Tamiki Yallop confirmed hamstring injury that's going to see her undergo surgery. The club said in a statement that they're expecting her to be back in the lead-in to the finals. Do we think this has ruled her out of the Asian Cup?
I don't want to say yes, but I feel like it might be yes. I don't want it to be, but yeah, unfortunately, I think it may be.
Yeah, it's certainly giving those vibes. Unfortunately, I guess obviously losing a Matilda is going to impact any side. What do we make of Brisbane without Tamiki Yallop? Is it as simple as Momo Hayashi, Bente Janssen, and a dream, or like what do we think of Brisbane going forward without Tamiki Yallop to steady the ship in the midfield?
Yeah, I don't feel good about it for them. I mean, it was really only a couple of injuries last season that saw them, you know, nosedive. Um, but they happened quite a bit later into the season than what we're seeing right now. So yeah, it does not bode well for them, to me.
Yep, I kind of get the same sort of vibe. looking at Brisbane. We'll move on to the final game of the round to talk about Western Sydney Wanderers falling at home to the Central Coast Mariners by 2-1. Isabella Coco de Scipio in the 18th minute, followed by Izzy Gomez in the 28th. Talia Yunus sparking, getting a consolation goal at the end. But what a consolation goal it was. Absolute screamer to sort of, give her side a little bit of hope in just before stoppage time in the second half. I think before we look at the Wanderers' performance, obviously it was announced after we recorded last week on Friday. I want to say it was Chloe Berryhill signed for the club. We talked about the rumors that were going around that she was going to sign. She has. Just straight into the starting lineup in this game. As part of that press release and announcement, she's also officially announced her retirement at the end of the season. So she did specify that she's hoping that she will get a call up into the Asian Cup squad with her performances at the Wanderers, that they'll do enough to impress Joe Montemuro. But she wanted to play in front of her family, her friends as well for, her last season, and play with some people who have been very influential throughout her career as well. So, that just adds to the depth that the Wanderers have in their squad, to the talent that the Wanderers have in their squad, which kind of makes the result a touch more concerning. We talked about the derby last week. There's probably been the Wanderers' best side in the last 6 years. Chloe Berryhill's inclusion sort of just continues to add credence to that, and yet they weren't able to stop the Mariners. They got ripped apart for a lot of this game, did the Wanderers, and I don't know. Is it I understand the games are played on grass and not paper. Obviously, they used to be played on synthetic, but they're played on grass and not on paper, and so talent on paper doesn't necessarily translate to talent on grass. But the Wanderers should not be this bad? Question mark?
No, they should not. I was saying it off the mic, and I will say it on the mic because I'm very brave and I'm not scared. I think we just need to dissolve Western Sydney Wanderers and try again. I think we just need to just cut our losses, just reboot them. Western Sydney Wanderers 2.0, where they actually manage to convert their talent into success on the pitch. Because I don't think they've actually seen, that much success since, oh my God, was it the season Denise O'Sullivan played for them and they had Lynn Williams playing for them?
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. We talked about it in our preview. They've had more seasons where they finished in the bottom two than half of their seasons have been a bottom two finish, and half of those have been a last place finish. They're on I know we're only a quarter of the way through the season for the Wanderers, but they're on pace to do so again. Disclaimer: the opinions of Burke do not necessarily reflect those of Poletti, the Dubcast, or Round Ball Australia. Please direct all complaints to Burke.
Please. I won't listen, but you can.
Because I don't understand.
It doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't, and I think that's
something has to be done.
It doesn't make sense why the Wanderers just can't gel and put it together, and even when they can, like they did in the derby last week, they just weren't able to get past Robertson. I don't get it. It's not making sense to me why, and maybe this side can turn it around in the back half of the season, and we're talking about a fringe finals contender and they're making progress in the right direction. But as I said in our season previews, I need to see it before I can believe it with the Wanderers. And I had very high hopes for them coming into this season, even though I predicted them to finish last. because like on paper, like this is a good side on paper. I'm very impressed with the talent that's there, but like I said, my concern is just they haven't been able to do it, and they're still not able to do it despite the talent that's there. And like I genuinely want to see them turn it around because I think that there's just so much potential in this side, but I'm not seeing it.
Well, it feels like we always catch like glimpses of it. Like there's just little pockets in the games
Like the
across.
Sienna Silvestre hat trick last year and that 5-0 or 5-1 dropping of Western United. Like we see glimpses in
And like
periods.
even smaller than that, like Talia Eunice's goal.
Yeah.
Like that was brilliant. And there were moments in the game where they were playing really, really good football. And I think they're kind of suffering from whatever disease Wellington has, but worse, where they can play well and they just can't get the ball across the line kind of thing. Although I will say Western Sydney's defensive record is a lot worse than Wellington's, which is why I say they're suffering from the same disease but worse. They can't get the ball across the line enough, and the ball keeps crossing their own line. So, but they do have moments, and I think that's what makes me like the most upset about it. Like you shouldn't be like this. Do better.
Yeah, I think that's fair. On the Mariners side of things, Izzy Coco de Scipio gets her first goal in the A-League Women. Izzy Gomez gets back on the score sheet as well for the two Mariners goals, both scored in the first half. Look, I had posted on socials that I was so happy for Coco de Scipio. Obviously we had her on the Dubcast, during the off season around the NPL final series, and she talked about how she just hadn't had the chance to get that call up. She's battled injuries. Like she went to Italy to play in Serie B because the call up just wasn't coming for the A-League Women, and she wanted to continue building towards a professional career. And then it's come here in the Mariners, and it's taken a few games, but she's gotten off the mark. I was cutting vegetables for dinner at the time as this was going on, and I just immediately like dropped the knife, dropped everything, and did like a celebratory cheer, from my house. Which is how psyched I was for Coco de Scipio for getting this goal. And I guess looking overall at the Mariners, coming off the back of the Derby thrashing last week of the Jets, they play Canberra this week. Oh, that Canberra Mariners game on Saturday is looking like a really spicy fixture.
That's gonna be the one. It's gonna be who's got like the best form, or like who's the most consistent, I guess, kind of thing.
Yep. Mariners in fourth, one of three teams tied on 9 points, 3 wins, 3 losses with after 6 games played, a +1 goal differential. I mean, I know we kind of had low expectations coming in to the season because there was so much unknown about the Mariners, but like they're proving to be a thorn in a lot of people's sides.
Yeah, they really are. And I'm glad for it because I didn't want their, championship to be kind of like a one and done thing. So yeah, I'm happy to see it.
Yeah, I'm happy to see it as well. That was all the games from the last 7 or so days that have taken place. Sort of already touched on Adelaide versus Melbourne City being moved. Melbourne City hosting Adelaide United being postponed because of Adelaide United having flu.
Get your flu shots, guys. Get them.
Yeah,
We are
yeah.
pro-vaccination on this podcast.
Yep. I've got absolutely nothing more to add there. There hasn't been a lot of other news this week, has there, that I can remember off the top of my head? It's been a quiet week in the world of Australian women's football, which seems weird given the way things have sort of been packed this season already.
Yeah, definitely. But you know what? I'll take it. I'll take a week off from anything too crazy happening. Now that I've said that,
I mean,
next week will probably be completely bonkers. So you're welcome.
yeah, like I think everything we needed to talk about we sort of covered in our match reviews, which was which is always good when everything sort of segues so naturally. So I guess maybe not bringing back our predictions so much as we just look ahead to the upcoming round. Newcastle versus Victory kick us off on Friday night in round 8, a Friday at 7 p.m. fixture. Is it too early to say that this game is make or break for either side? But like, given their patchy form,
Yeah, I mean, maybe like just a tiny bit too early. If this game had been happening like next week, like around 9 maybe. But yeah, it's definitely a big game for both of them.
yeah, absolutely. And then Wellington play host Sydney on Saturday afternoon, 2 p.m. local time, 4 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. I mean, Burrowa Park is always a tough place to go. Can Sydney sort of bounce back from their loss to Canberra, or do Wellington bounce back from their losses to Perth and City?
I feel like the sheer anger of having lost the last two fixtures by like the skin of their teeth is possibly going to be enough to propel Wellington over the line.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. I haven't been entirely convinced by Sydney this season.
Neither have I, but that's not
Yeah,
news to
you've
anyone.
said the same. Um, look, I think again, I don't necessarily want to say we're getting into must-win territory in round 8, but I don't know. This game is also giving sort of like must-win vibes, given where both sides sit in terms. Like, I know Sydney are inside the top 6 at the moment. They're one of those teams tied on 9 points, but these are the games that Sydney need to be winning, and for Wellington, who are sitting well outside the 6, this is a game that they absolutely need to be winning as well. Canberra versus Mariners, 5:30 p.m. in Canberra on Saturday afternoon. This is going to be a good game, right?
Yeah, yeah. Will the Mariners also succumb to the curse of travelling to Canberra?
There's only one way to find out, and that's for us to tune in and see what goes on. And then Perth versus Adelaide finishes off on Sunday afternoon, 5 p.m. local time, 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. Again, this is kind of giving must-win vibes, isn't it?
Sort of, yeah.
Yep, cool. Western Sydney Wanderers have the bye, and Brisbane Roar will take on Melbourne City on Tuesday, January 20, up in Brisbane. But that will do for this episode of the Dubcast, part of the Round Ball Australia Podcast Network. So we were able to get through everything rather quickly this week.
Yeah, surprisingly. Knock on wood. Let's not jinx this.
Of course, we are recording this on Tuesday afternoon, so watch something drop Tuesday night that would have given us our other 15 minutes that we usually try to fill each week.
Yeah, such is the way.
Exactly. For Burke, my name is Poletti. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next week.